Welcome to a deep dive into, well, a film that shows that sometimes those smaller stories, they really hit you the hardest. We're digging into Daniel Blake. But we're not just talking about the film itself, we're going beyond that. We're going to figure out how this, like, indie darling about regular people, everyday struggles, how it became this, like, cultural phenomenon.
It really is amazing when you think about it. This low-budget film, it went from these smaller festivals to like sparking debates in Parliament, real-world impact.
For real. And
Ugh.
we've got, like, production notes, we've got marketing reports, critical analyses, all of it. We're going to put it all together. We're going to see how this film went on its journey and unpack why it just resonated with so many people so deeply. So for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, Daniel Blake, it's a British social realist film. So think like gritty, realistic. It shows poverty. It shows a welfare system. It's about ordinary people just trying to get by.
And leading the charge is Ken Loach, the director. And he's known for his social conscience. This isn't just entertainment for him. This is about giving a voice to people who haven't been heard. He's got this whole history of shining a light on the underrepresented. And he's known for this very collaborative approach to making films, which you can really see in this film.
Yeah, you really feel that realness, that authenticity in every single scene. And, what's really interesting is this wasn't some big studio production, right? They didn't have tons of money. This was independent filmmaking at its best.
That's right. Daniel Blake, it was a passion project. It was funded through different sources. So you've got 16 films, which Loach actually co-founded, so that indie spirit's right there. But then you have Why Not Productions. It's a French company, and they're known for supporting these art house films. So it's got this international feel. And then on top of that, they got backing from, get this, the BFI and BBC films. So clearly there are people out there who want to support these kinds of stories.
It's amazing. It's like a perfect storm of creative forces all coming together, and this unique funding situation they had, it let them stay true to the heart of the film. And that leads us to this whole British social realism thing.
Right.
It's more than just a genre. It's like it's part of the film, right?
Exactly. British social realism, it's all about being real, about authenticity. It's holding up a mirror to society and showing everything, even the bad parts. And Daniel Blake is like the perfect example of this. Loach uses this documentary style, like think handheld cameras, natural lighting. It's all about bringing you into the character's world. He's not trying to do anything fancy with the camera. It's about capturing the realness, the rawness of what they're going through.
And speaking of raw, they actually filmed in a real job center, right?
That's right.
Not a set, but the actual place.
Yeah, they didn't use some fancy studio. It was the real deal, the place where this stuff happens every day.
Yeah.
And that decision, it's what makes the film so powerful. You see that. And then you add in the fact that they used unknown actors. So they bring this genuine, real quality to their performances. And there's barely any non-diegetic music. Like, it's all intentional. It makes you feel like you're watching something real, a documentary, not some fictional film.
It's a world away from those polished Hollywood blockbusters, you know what I mean? All those big explosions and special effects.
Yeah, and that's an important difference. Daniel Blake isn't trying to be this big, flashy movie. It's going for something much deeper, something more profound. It wants you to feel something real, to connect with the characters on an emotional level.
And connect, it did. And that's what's so incredible, right? This small film, made on a tight budget, it got the attention of people not just in the UK, but globally.
It really shows you the power of a good story. But it's also a fascinating look at how they marketed the film. So instead of releasing it everywhere at once, they went with this platform release pattern. They started small, just 94 UK cinemas, and then expanded based on how audiences responded.
So they were like playing the long game. It was a risk, but a calculated one. And it really paid off in the end, right?
Yeah, it did. They really believed in the film and its message. They knew they had something special, something that would resonate with people. They just needed to give it a chance. And eventually they did expand it to 273 cinemas. I mean, that's more than double where they started. But, it wasn't just about getting it into theaters. It was the marketing, too. They were really clever, especially with such a small budget.
Okay, tell me more. What did they do that was so different, so unique?
Well, one of the boldest things they did was this Daily Mail campaign. And this is where things get really interesting. See, the Daily Mail, it's a right-leaning newspaper. They're not exactly known for being super sympathetic to social welfare programs. It's kind of counterintuitive when you think about it.
No kidding. That doesn't seem like the most obvious choice.
Right. But that's what's so brilliant about it. They didn't shy away from an audience that might not agree with the film's message. They went right for it. They even created this whole fictional column written from Daniel Blake's point of view and put it right there in the newspaper. They gave a voice to the voiceless in a place where you wouldn't expect to hear it.
That's kind of a power move, isn't it? Like sneaking in the back door and starting a conversation right under their noses.
Yeah.
So did it work? Did it actually make a difference?
It totally did. They ran these really bold display ads alongside the column, really shaking things up. And get this, they even gave away 10,000 free tickets to Daily Mail readers. But the point wasn't to preach to people, it was about making them think, about creating empathy in unexpected places.
So people responded to it. They were actually open to the message.
Oh, yeah. The campaign got a 75% approval rating, which is huge. A lot of readers said the film really resonated with them, that it made them think about their own experiences. It just shows that sometimes the most powerful messages are the ones that come from unexpected places, you know?
Totally. It's like, what's it saying? The medium is the message or
Yeah.
something like that. They used the Daily Mail's platform to spread a message that challenged its own narrative. So smart.
Exactly. And that's not all. They were all over social media, too. They used the hashtag #IDanielBlake to get people talking online and build a community around the film. Remember that We Are All Daniel Blake Facebook filter? That was huge.
Oh, yeah. How could I forget? It was everywhere. All my friends were using it. It was like this badge of solidarity, a way for people to show they supported the film and its message.
Exactly. It tapped into that human need to connect with others, to feel like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
And then there was that incredible projection campaign they did. They projected these giant images from the film onto the Houses of Parliament. Now, that's how you make a statement.
Wow. That's next level. Projecting images of poverty and bureaucracy onto the very institution that's supposed to be addressing those issues. It's powerful stuff.
It really was. It's about holding up a mirror, not just to individuals, but to the systems that we live in. And it worked. It got people talking. It even sparked debates in Parliament about social welfare policies. They were suddenly talking about the very issues the film raised.
It's incredible. This small, independent film, made with hardly any money, it sparks a national conversation, even a political debate. It just goes to show, when a story resonates with people on a human level, when it feels real, it can cut through all the noise and make a real impact.
It really can. And the recognition didn't stop there. Daniel Blake didn't just get people talking, it got critical acclaim, too. It proved that it wasn't just a powerful story, but a well-made one, a work of art in its own right.
Speaking of recognition, let's talk awards. This film won a bunch of them, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. It cleaned up. It won the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, which is a huge deal. We're not just talking about some small award here. This is like the top prize at Cannes, a festival that's known for really highbrow artistic cinema. So winning this award, it showed that Daniel Blake wasn't just this niche social realist film. It had this broad artistic appeal. It proved that Ken Loach was a master storyteller and that the film had something to say on multiple levels.
Wow, the Palme d'Or. That's incredible.
And it didn't stop there. It also won the BAFTA for Best British Film, which cemented its place in film history.
That's amazing. It's one thing to tell a powerful story, but to have that story recognized by critics, to be celebrated by these prestigious award committees, that says something about the film's artistic merit. It was more than just a message. It was a beautifully made piece of art.
Exactly. And it wasn't just the critics who connected with it. Daniel Blake's was a commercial success too. It resonated with audiences beyond the festival circuit.
So how did it do? What were the box office numbers like?
Daniel Blake, made a respectable $12.45 million globally. Okay, I know that might not sound like a lot compared to those blockbuster films, but for an independent film with a limited release and a focus on social realism, that's impressive. It did particularly well in Europe with really strong numbers in the UK, France, and Italy. It seems like the themes of struggling with bureaucracy and the human cost of poverty really resonated with European audiences.
Yeah, it makes sense when you think about it. I mean, Europe has a different view of social safety nets and government assistance.
Yeah.
It's more ingrained in their culture, so maybe those themes hit closer home for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, and it speaks to how the film taps into a particular cultural consciousness. And while it didn't do quite as well in the U.S., Daniel Blake still sparked conversations worldwide about poverty, about dealing with bureaucracy, and about the basic human desire for dignity and respect. It crossed geographical boundaries and started a global dialogue.
That's the power of a good story, right? It can connect with people from all walks of life, no matter their background, no matter where they come from. It reminds us that we're all human.
Yeah.
We all share these common experiences and challenges.
Absolutely. And that brings us back to the heart of what made Daniel Blake, such a phenomenon. It wasn't just the marketing, the awards, or the box office numbers. It was about the power of storytelling to create social change.
It's like, that saying, art imitates life. But this feels different. It's like art took a good, hard look at life, and made us look too.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is that it didn't just show us, it made people want to do something.
You're right. This wasn't just a movie you watched and then forgot about. It sparked a movement. People really connected with it. They felt for the characters. The whole "we're all Daniel Blake" thing, it wasn't just a hashtag. It was like people waking up and realizing that this is happening, this is real.
It's kind of hard to believe that a movie could have that much power,
Yeah.
that it could reach beyond the screen, get people talking, get them involved. It's really something.
It really shows you how a story, if it's told right, it can change things. It can inspire people, make them want to act, make a difference.
And it reminds us that even when the problems seem huge, like system-wide problems, it's about individual people. Daniel Blake, his story, yeah, it's fictional, but it represents so many real people, so many real struggles. And by showing us that, the film made it impossible to ignore.
It's like that quote, something about how the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller, because they're the ones who shape how we see the world, our values, everything. Daniel Blake, it proved that stories have the power to change things, one person at a time, one policy at a time.
So what does this all mean for us? Not just as viewers, but as people, as citizens. What are we supposed to take away from all of this?
I think it's a call to action. We're not powerless. We can be part of something. You can watch films that make us think, that start conversations, that help us understand each other better. We can amplify those voices that need to be heard. And we can use our own voices, too, to demand better.
Daniel Blake, it showed us that even a small movie made on a tiny budget can light a fire under people. It can start a movement, make a real difference in the world. It reminds us that every single one of us has a role to play in making society more just, more compassionate.
And that's a message worth remembering.
Absolutely. Well, there you have it. That was our deep dive into Daniel Blake.
Yeah.
It's a film that beat the odds, that captured people's hearts and minds, and proved that sometimes it's the quieter stories that have the biggest impact.
It makes you wonder, what stories will move you to action? What will you fight for?
Something to think about as we keep exploring the world through film. Until next time, thanks for listening, and keep those conversations going.